Costa Rica, the name translates to rich coast. It is a country in Central America, to the south of Nicaragua and to the north of Panama. On the northeast is the Caribbean Sea, leading to the Atlantic, and to the southwest, the Pacific Ocean. The flight from the UK can be as short as 9.5 hours, but more often takes 10 hours or more, depending on the wind. The country is now the home to about 5 million people, mostly living in or around the capital, San Jose, which is surrounded by mountains and volcanoes. The country is described as having the highest quality of life in Latin America. San Jose is one of the safest and least violent cities in the region, despite being subject to erupting volcanoes and numerous earthquakes.
When was the last earthquake Costa Rica had? Probably 2 minutes ago. Every month there's about 2,000 tremors going throughout the country. It's going to slow down just for a minute for you to take a look. This is known as the Cultural Square, where we have not only a small park, we have a monument to one president of Costa Rica. We have the Grand Hotel, the first finest hotel built in Costa Rica almost 100 years ago. And the Opera House, known as the National Theater of Costa Rica, that was inaugurated on October 1897.
Our journey was to take us from San Jose along the main highway to Limon, then south following the east coast to Puerto Viejo. The terrain in Costa Rica is rugged and mountainous, caused by the tectonic plates on the northeast and southwest, which, for the last 50 million years or so, has forced the land to be raised above sea level, creating mountain ranges with numerous volcanoes. And, as the volcanoes erupted, higher mountains were formed, reaching above the fertile valleys. In these valleys, exotic fruits and vegetables are grown, mostly organically, for export and selling in local markets. There were some of the largest avocados I've seen, along with papaya, guava, oranges, tomatoes and bananas, which come in a variety of sizes. In fact, there is a saying that there are almost as many types of fruit in Costa Rica as there are places to visit.
If you have a ripe planting and if you eat it raw, you might fall sick. These are
mini ones.
ladies' finger bananas. Some people call them apple bananas. These are the best to try. One thing we will notice is that some of our fruits, like these oranges, they don't look as beautiful as the ones you might have in your...
We don't take the ones.
A lot of our local fruits don't look beautiful, but they taste better than the good-looking ones.
By lunchtime, we had reached the east coast and stopped for lunch. Outside the restaurant, a crowd had gathered and were attracted by something in a tree. It turned out to be a sloth. And when it decided to vacate the tree, we caught a glimpse of the baby it was carrying. The sloth is Costa Rica's newest national symbol. On warm, sunny days, the white sandy beaches at Cajita are washed by a turquoise sea, which is home of an abundance of marine life swimming around the coral reefs close to the shore. Visitors may see some of the 500 species of fish that live on the reef, but when we arrived it was pouring with rain, so we put on our waterproofs and set off for the alternative attraction, the adjoining forest.
Are there monkeys, for example, in this forest? Yes, but with rain like this, they tend to be very quiet and will look just like the other slugs we saw over there. So we might try to look for something resting on the tree branches.
There are 4 species of monkey native to Costa Rica: the white-faced capuchin, the spider monkey, the squirrel monkey and the howler monkey. And they really do howl, often at night when you're trying to sleep. Eventually we spotted a monkey's tail high up in a tree. It turned out to be a capuchin, traditionally used by organ grinders peddling in city streets. As it moved away, we could see the baby it was carrying on its back.
That one has a baby on her back. Look at the monkey coming on the very left. With a baby on her back. There she comes.
Resting on the trunk of a tree was a bright yellow snake, a venomous eyelash viper. It was motionless, no doubt sleeping, but nobody volunteered to wake it up. There were exotic wildflowers to see and spiders to avoid. We were all glad to get back to the hotel and dry out. Next morning, we drove to the border with Panama. Relationships between the two countries are friendly. This river, the Ciola, forms part of the border between the two, and we eventually came to a point where we could cross the river. There was no customs or control point, only a cockerel that seemed a bit weary of English visitors. A boat arrived from the far shore and we clambered aboard and were soon on our way to Panama.
Everybody get
Mind your step and mind your heads, please. Mind your heads.
Are you not doing that okay? Oh, right. Those things I don't need.
So what were we about to see? The ruins of long-lost ancient city? More wildlife in the jungle? Well, it was nothing so exciting. It turned out to be a duty-free shop. Our next port of call was to visit the Bribri people, who are the largest indigenous community in Costa Rica. They lead a simple lifestyle, speak their own language and sustain themselves by using plants from the forest.
You may have it in English.
Is it turmeric? Oh, it smells like turmeric. Yeah. Turmeric.
You can color your nails also with that one.
Too late.
Yeah. Cúrcuma. Pueden ver la planta de cúrcuma.
This is the plant.
Oh, right. Oh. The root.
The root, correct. Is a root.
So what clan do I come from now?
La marca de ella representa parte de la familia.
Yeah, he said that it basically is part of your family right now.
Y de ella representa el líder de la familia.
And that is the leader of the family.
Para
If
quemadura.
you suffer sugar on your blood, that also can be used to reduce it. And now you are ready to go hunt.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a hunter,
Mientras que él está esperando animales y el otro llama a los animales.
I'm not doing that.
So you are looking for animals and he's calling the animals.
La jaguar puede llevar.
He said that even the jaguar can arrive. That is from Eso no es el... Sí. Example, the pineapple plant, you can take the fiber the same way.
One of their main crops are the beans produced by the cocoa tree, which are used to make chocolate, and we were given a demonstration. Once they are extracted from the pod, the beans are still in a hard shell and have to be roasted at about 130 degrees for about half an hour, then put in a pan and stirred over the heat. After cooling, the shells are crushed using a heavy stone to crack them open and release the beans.
We're crushing everything.
After crushing, all the shell fragments are removed.
It's only physics. The heavier part is the one that we want, the lighter one is the one we lose.
For you, for your skin.
When only chocolate remains, it can be tasted. Somewhat bitter at this stage and a long way removed from Cadbury's. Finally, the chocolate pieces are forced through a fine sieve when sugar might be added according to taste.
How it is presented right now, it's now mixed with...
Our tour guide, Christina, was the first volunteer to turn the handle.
People who are more into organic. Anyone else?
I think we've got an expert.
There is a saying that many hands make light work.
Yeah, Christina started it. You got it started.
Back at the hotel, an animal was wandering outside the rooms. It looked very tame and used to people taking its photograph. What on earth was it? Was it rare? Not really. It turned out to be a Costa Rican rat. After 2 nights in Viejo, it was time to move north to the next location. We made a very early start and retraced our steps to Limon, then took the road northwest. By midday we arrived in a very large car park where, in order to enter the national park, we had to transfer to a boat. Herson and Christina did a count to ensure we had all arrived. Then it was eyes open and cameras made ready for anything that appeared. Meanwhile, Herson introduced us to the boatman.
Welcome to Rio La Suerte. I would like everybody to please say Buenos Dias to Herman. This is Herman. I am her son.
Your dad, yeah?
Pretty much everybody in and around here knows him by his nickname. He is known as Creole way of saying Mr. Brooklyn.
Wow.
So we can call him just Brooklyn. Brooklyn is very famous. He's also known as Mr. Eagle Eyes. He's got really good sight, but we are going to help him. If you get to see something like that on the left, the most cosmopolitan species of egret in the whole world. If you've been to Africa, if you've been to Australia, if you've been to the Amazon, you probably have seen the same species. Even at the UK, cattle egret, crocodile.
Oh, right. Do you have otters here?
Yes, river otters are here. They are very shy and very fast, but they happen all over here. We call them neotropical river otters. Construction material for concrete mixing.
From time to time, Herman would speed up the boat, but as soon as he saw anything of interest, would slow down.
This is more grayish color.
Quite suddenly, we saw our first crocodile,
A crocodile like this, maybe 3 years old or so.
and shortly afterwards, a blue heron.
Behind us, everything is the national park. That's what you see, no development at all. On the left and behind us. The village, pretty much 150 meters behind these buildings, is already the ocean. Our lodge is next corner on the left.
And they're going to explain to us where your rooms will be. The keys will be in the door.
There will be a little welcome drink given to us. And then once you hear your room number, please don't go straight ahead. We're gonna do a very little tour, as Christina said, to show you where we are meeting later on, to show you where we are having lunch, and to show you where the different facilities. Our rooms are inside the jungle, so keep your eyes open for wildlife. Dale pues.
All the buildings of the hotel, including the dining room, are made of wood. The accommodation consists of blocks of 4 rooms, and the blocks are connected by pathways as they spread into the jungle. All rooms have air conditioning with shower and toilet facilities. Most have at least 2 double beds. Many rooms have a balcony where you can sit and watch a hungry monkey looking for food. The only problem might be if you are in Costa Rica during the rainy season. More often than not, it rains. And when it rains in Costa Rica, it really does rain. Lynn, one of our group, had a very difficult time. When we arrived in Tortuguero, she fell and injured her spine and had to go to hospital. Fortunately, there was an airstrip a few miles away and she was flown back to San Jose. We heard later that she had to be flown back to the UK for hospital treatment. Her experience was a lesson to us all, that is to take extra great care when moving around. The braver members of the group ignored the rain and headed off further into the jungle, while I decided to keep dry and join others having a cup of tea.
Spanish word for chicken is polo. But if you say it a certain way, and it's very, very similar.
After lunch, the rain stopped, and most of the group boarded the boat for the afternoon search to see wildlife.
And then we will be off for the National Park Canal ride. Okay? Please keep on looking. Suddenly there might be something over here, over there, swimming, diving.
One of the first things we saw was a bird high up in the tree, followed by a lonely egret.
Yeah, he's telling me about monkeys. I helped pushing a slot that was swimming across this canal because I didn't want it to be hit by a boat. So we kind of guarded until it made it to the other side. But a slot cannot stand on the ground at all. So they, in these areas, I don't know if you noticed some water splashing. There are 2 large fish that usually splash in parts of the United States to South America.
This northern jacana did not seem too worried by our presence. Next came an iguana, a tropical South American lizard, then the head of a crocodile, seemingly watching us as we went closer. Best not try and stroke it. This one was either dead or sleeping like a log. Climbing a distant tree with a monkey.
And they have a brown neck. Look at the osprey behind you to the left.
Oh,
osprey.
wow. Look at the
Yeah, well, you see, Chris got the monkeys down.
The male will build a little nest on the floating vegetation, waiting for a female to come by. If she likes to call it the surgeon bird. Because probably you remember that in the past there's still photos of surgeons with a big headlamp. That's what it reminds us of.
Oh, yeah.
Here on the left, in the water. Here the water is more clear.
Under the shade of the bushes was a caiman alligator, close relative of the crocodiles. It was time to leave the birds and animals, and a fast ride took us back to the hotel.
They don't realise it.
Next morning, with suitcases packed, we boarded a boat which took us to the car park where we had left the bus. Sure enough, there it was, waiting to take us to the next destination, Arenal, with its town, lake and volcano.
Because we are very concentrated while walking on the steps on that fall.
Roads in Costa Rica are normally single carriageway, but not too busy and well maintained. Nonetheless, there may be hold-ups on the highway running east to west, which is being converted into a dual carriageway. It soon becomes obvious, driving around, that one of the main crops grown in the country are bananas. They grow year-round, and the industry employs more than 40,000 people and produces more than 2¼ metric tons annually, mostly for export. When young, the bunches of fruit are covered with blue bags. This can improve the quality of the fruit and increase the yield, and may reduce the ripening time. Other crops are pineapples, sugar, rice, ornamental plants, corn, potatoes, palm oil and coffee. Our schedule included a stop at a plant where the procedure of processing coffee beans was explained. The pure and clean air of Costa Rica makes it an ideal country to grow coffee, and most of it is grown organically. In 1821, when the country gained independence from Spain, the government gave free coffee seeds to farmers to promote coffee production and to bolster the economy. 22 years later, after coffee was first shipped to England, it became one of Costa Rica's key exports. In fact, until 1890, it was the country's only export. Today, 90% of the country's 50,000 coffee farmers work small farms of less than 5 hectares. And as the majority of farmers do not have facilities to process their own coffee, private or cooperative-owned mills, such as the one we visited, have taken on the work of cleaning and processing the beans. It was dark when we arrived at the Tilajari Hotel Resort and Conference Centre, where we were to spend 2 nights. The rooms were comfortable, but perhaps more memorable were the variety of birds having their breakfast outside the dining room. once more into the coach, this time driving around Arenal volcano, one of 67 volcanoes in Costa Rica, and one of the 6 that are still active. It erupted in 1968, unexpectedly destroying the small town of Tabacon, with 87 people killed. The most recent eruption was in 1998, and it has remained dormant since then, but is closely monitored by seismologists. Lake Arenal is man-made. It covers 85 square kilometres and is 30 to 60 metres deep, depending on the season. It is the biggest lake in Costa Rica, providing essential hydroelectric power generation for the country. It is also connected to the national water supply system, providing water to the dry Pacific side of the country. Our destination was the hanging bridges at Arenal, a 2-mile walk through the rainforest reserve with 8 hanging bridges crossing the deep gorges, and the possibility of seeing monkeys, wild boar and a variety of bird species and insects. The first insects we saw were leafcutter ants. They don't eat the leaves they harvest, but use them to sustain a white fungus that they grow in their nests for food. One of the group spotted a beautiful butterfly resting on a leaf. According to the Smithsonian Institute, Costa Rica is home to about 1,250 species of butterflies. As we climbed higher, we came to the first swinging bridge. The route was getting busy and many slowed down on the bridge to admire the view. Herson and Christina did their best to keep us all together.
Very big. Really, really big. Thank you. That is good for you. We call it gavilan.
It seems so unfair.
Yeah.
This is Arenal Volcano View Bridge. It's about a little bit more than 220 feet long. It's one of the 6 hanging bridges we will go through. For me, the most amazing is the second one.
Once in the middle of the bridge, we had excellent views of the surrounding countryside.
They stopped anyway.
Yeah, they stopped. They were just being silly.
They stopped.
Is this your favourite one?
Christmas Eve. I love Christmas Eve. I love going to church. It's lovely. Christmas mass.
You can really feel, yeah,
We didn't see many insects or animals. Perhaps there were too many people, but someone did spot a snake. Driving back to the hotel, we came across a group of white-nosed coyote, members of the raccoon family. Females and juveniles live in groups of up to 20 or more, while the males are solitary animals. They are good climbers and sleep in trees at night. Next morning, despite the rain, we moved to the hotel where we were to spend the final 3 nights before returning home.
Angela's just coming.
We live in reception.
The layout of the new hotel was complex, and it was a good idea to take a photo and avoid getting lost. The rooms were pleasantly situated amongst trees, shrubs and flowers, and surprisingly large, with 2 showers, but unfortunately no bath. The beds were comfortable, and on the veranda a jacuzzi, and the food in the restaurant was decorative and appetising. The new hotel was close to La Fortuna, a new town built to house the people who lost their homes when the land was flooded to create Lake Arenal in 1978. The town is developed into a major centre with many shops, restaurants and a modern church used for worship and for weddings. Although the volcano is dormant, there are several hot springs in the locality where you can bathe and relax in natural mineral water in pools at various temperatures. If you don't fancy a swim, you can have a refreshing drink in the bar overlooking the pools. The water was a suitable temperature. There was one really hot one that took your breath away when you went in, and there was also a much cooler one that you could drop into and then go back into the hot one, and a variety of other pools, all on different levels. It was all very lovely, and we had it very much to ourselves. There were no more organised excursions provided by Just You, but several other options that one could experience at extra cost, booking either through Just You or the hotel. On offer was a zip wire ride, bird watching, kayaking on Lake Arenal, a trip to La Fortuna waterfall, and a hike up the 1968 Arenal lava trail, accompanied by a local nature guide. Despite the rain, these were all excellent and memorable experiences, enjoyed very much by all who took part.